As we look at this morning, we're going to kind of go quickly through this, but just back into verse 1 of chapter 2, I want us to understand it says, wherefore laying aside all these, there is a listed things that are there that we as Christians should have a desire to do. It's something that we should want to do, but it says lay aside all malice. That's kind of the hate that we have, our desire to go forth and, I guess, to cause trouble, to purposely desire to have others to have bad days. These things are relevant, but anyways, wherefore laying aside all malice and guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings, and all these things are going hand in hand with one another. I want you to understand that these are not necessarily just individual things that are listed, but each and every one of these are directly connected, and it all is connected mostly with our lust and the pride of life and the different things of that, but the guile, the hypocrisies, the envies. I want us to understand that each and every one of these things can become barriers for others coming to Christ. That is one reason why we must lay these things aside. If we are going to bear the name of Christ, if we are going to call ourselves born again believers, these things have to be truly set aside from us. We shouldn't have direct associations. These things should not be coming from us. As newborn babes, that verse coming after that, of all these little bitty fellers that are in here, is any of them really have malicious intent toward us? Is any of them capable of just totally destroying us? As the newborn babes are there, I want you to understand that they are innocent. All right, I want you to understand that their heart is as pure as it's going to be at this point in their life. I want us to understand that their intentions are innocent, that they are truly just the word innocent. I can't stress that word enough, but there's nothing that they might keep you up at night. They might make strange sounds in the pews, but they're unknowing of things. I want you to understand that is what we should be, is truly innocent in each and every one of our intents, what it is that we do. Everything else should be laid born. We had kids. We, with Jayla, we kind of. But it wasn't very long that she was eating off the table. She like you can fit old and where it's half and half. We tried. But if we had been given Dr. Pepper and her coffee. As a kid, she ain't real tall yet anyways, but she wouldn't ever have grown. You understand what I'm saying? We had to give her the things that she needed. She had to have a proper nutrition. Couldn't just feed junk at that very young age and expect good things. I want us to understand that as Christian people, we can't feed ourselves junk to grow spirit. It ain't gonna happen. Whatever it is, desire to feed yourself, it better be the sincere things of the word. You cannot grow in a spirit. It's not gonna increase. You're not gonna become any closer to God. You're not gonna get all these different things because we're not feeding the milk of the word. Then it says that you may grow thereby. To grow spiritually, and you're not reading and studying your Bible, you're going about it the wrong way. It's not happening. You're not going to put the Word of God directly involved. Believers, irregardless of what all has happened in your life, you have tasted of God's grace. Because when you called upon Him, He saved you and He didn't give you what you deserved. Living stone. You wonder why the author here put a living stone in this particular spot? Because at this time there was plenty of stone people worshipped. But that's all they was. But I want you to understand that this is the symbolic of something that is being is living. It goes on to tell you more about, but a living me, but chosen of God and precious. More of Christ right here, we can find that He was chosen of God. We looked at this in Sunday school kind of briefly for just minutes morning, but we've seen that He was chosen of God and that Christ truly is precious, and He should be precious to every one of us here today. But He was rejected of the name that they desired. We made reference to this morning in Sunday school that when people came, everybody of Jewish descent at the time that were knowledgeable, they were looking for Christ. This is what they would have been waiting on. Everyone knew that the Old Testament pointed directly to Christ. Everybody was waiting on this, but when they seen Him, it wasn't one. They just thought, yeah, this ain't what we're after. So they rejected that. But either way, it was a chosen stone of God. This is exactly how God had it planned out. This is exactly what God desired. He sent Jesus in exactly the manner in which He desired to send Him. Ye also are lively stones. A spiritual house. Temple. Oh, let's jump back into some old times here. This was a place where a centralized spot where they could, for lack of better words, so we're going to say, so we're a place where they could house the glory of God, a place where God's presence would dwell, a place that was there among people. Okay, I want you to understand that. But I want you to just take that visual there and apply it to exactly what we read. Ye also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house, that you are the thing that was built up that God can dwell within. But I want you to apply that to even bigger. I want us to understand that God has made each and every one of us that lively stone, so that when we come together, God has a place surrounded all around Him that He can dwell amongst each and every one of us. The great design with man was to be in fellowship with man and dwell with man. Then separate. Christ came, Christ He paid our redemptive price that we needed paid. So now we can come back into fellowship with God and He can dwell with us again. But God took it a step further here. Instead of just dwelling with us, He dwells within us. Amen. We are spiritual. You can take this wall, you can take that wall, you can remove the roof, you can remove all that you want to. We can just be sitting in a wide open spot, but I want you to understand that we are still a spiritual house. You look at the spiritual gifts that God has given individuals. You can think of this in many different ways. Some of us may be more of a particular house. Christ grand foundation, and it is the foundation which every house should be built upon. But I want you to understand that as each and every one of us have different particular jobs to do within the church, you have just as every little spot in the house has a different particular job to do. That is our spiritual house. I want you to understand that. Go back to the temple. Go back to the old days of the tabernacle. Go back to the spot whenever they brought their sacrifices in. They had to be particular. They had to be the best. Amen? You didn't keep your prize pig at the farm and then take the for your sacrifice. That ain't the way it worked. You didn't keep the best for yourself and give God whatever was left over. Is that what was done in the Testament times? I want you to think of this merely as the spiritual temple that is here. I want us to understand that we are part of our lives is this sacrifice that we must do, because our Bible to present spiritual sacrifices, not just we're not sacrificing chickens, we ain't sacrificing goats. I'm not bringing fruit and things like that. I want us to understand that this is a spiritual sacrifice that you and I must be willing to make. Let's think of this as a week. What ought we sacrifice in a week? Now, with our jobs, we sacrifice time with our family, time doing this. You got multiple different events that are going on. You got 2 or 3 different things going on the same weekend. You're going to have to sacrifice time with some people to spend it with others, right? We don't think that we make sacrifice. Amen? Don't look at me like I'm nuts, church. I mean, I want you to open your minds, broaden your horizons here for just a minute and think on this. You think of all the sacrifices that's down on the farm. He's got a limited amount of time to be there. Time fencing, he's sacrificing time that he could be doing something else. If he decides to ride on the tractor all day, he's sacrificing time that he could devote to the fencing. It's something that we consciously decide that we do. It is a free will choice that you and I get to make. The last time that you spiritually sacrifice something unto God. Let's pause, let's back up just a moment, and let's take the capital G and put a little g there. And when's the last time you sacrificed something to your little g God? Yesterday? This morning? All week? But when did we make that spiritual sacrifice for the capital G God? The living God, the living stone. Not only are we required to make spiritual, but these should be sacrifices, get this, that are acceptable unto God. And He don't accept our leftovers. We can learn that by looking backwards into the Old Testament. Our leftovers are not good enough. It should be the very best that we have to offer. These are the spiritual sacrifices that God has from you and I. Because Jesus said, if you're going to come after me, let a man deny and follow me. That's what He says. And then He says that we must do this day. For us to live is Christ. I want you to, while we are sucking air and while we are breathing, I want you to understand that the only thought should be going through is, how can I use this day to benefit the Almighty? But we think of it as, how can I use this day to benefit myself? Things that we sacrifice. You don't, parents, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. You think of things that you sacrifice for your kids. You think I'm making it up? When's the last time you went to the bathroom by yourself? When's the last time you took a shower without somebody coming in there just wanting to ask, can I have a honey bun? Can I have Can I do this? Can I do that? You talk about sacrifice. With children, you no longer have time to yourself to do anything, none whatsoever. I want us to understand that we sacrifice a lot as parents. Amen? Get my back here. Come on. I mean, because that's something that we do. When they get up a little, you're going to take Jason or Renee back that's driving. They can sit up and worry about Caitlin. I've seen her drive. They should. I'm just aggravating you, Caitlin. So make sure you think of all the sacrifices we make, but how many of them actually are for God? How many is it times that something came up that you really do, but instead you thought, I'm going to give this evening to the Lord. I want to forewarn you of something, church, in just a few. Revival coming up. And during revival week, you're going to have the opportunity to sacrifice a part of your life each and every night that week and give a portion of your evening unto God. We are required to make spiritual sacrifices. That are acceptable to God. I want to skip down to verse. I want us to go back to our parenting. We hold our babies and we immediately think there ain't nothing I wouldn't do for this kid. And for most parents, there ain't nothing that we wouldn't do for our kids. What is the one word that you're going to read in this verse that our kids, that we say about babies? We say, ain't they what? Starts with a P. Ain't they precious? But 18 months later, we want to recant that statement. They're precious. They hold a place in our heart. We worry about them daily. We think about them daily, no matter how old they get. Random times during the day, you begin thinking, I wonder what they're doing. I wonder. Sometimes I get what Grace is doing, and I can look on my little that day. What class they in, and they tell me what class they in. I'll be thinking, I wonder if Jaylee's getting her math today. I wonder what they're doing. I wonder what she's doing on that social studies test. I begin to worry about them. I wonder what they're doing that evening. They cross our minds frequently, church. We care about their well-being. Why? Because they're precious to us. We have a deep-rooted love for our children. Can you imagine the love that God has for you? Time that we worrying about our kids, wondering how they're doing, what they're doing. Now think about how much time God has spent having to worry about you. Why is he doing what he's doing? Why is she doing this? Why is she going back down this path? Our kids are precious to us, but I want you to understand that we are precious. It's enough unto him that he sent the only begotten Son that he had, and he died upon a cross for you and I. But not only that, church, but he should be just as precious to you and I. Amen. When you begin to think of the things that God has done in your life, the things that he has brought you through, the things that every night that our kids come home, every night that you came home as a kid, all these things, every night that you're able to put food on the table, and then when you get up and you're able to take a shower, that you're able to put clothes on your kids' back, shoes on their feet, all these different things. You think of all the things that God has done for you, and why is he not precious? Every good and perfect gift comes from above, church. Man didn't give it to you. You can thank your job all you want to. You can thank your bank account, but friend, it came from God. Unto you, therefore, which believe, we can be born again. Believe. You have to believe to be born again. But every child of God thinks of Him as being precious. Not all of us who gathered in God's house today thought Him to be precious. And I hate to keep picking on parents with kids this morning. Did you ever know somebody comes in with a little baby, everybody wants to flock to them? Just ask Becky. She got a house full of babysitters. Can't wait to spoil them. Let me. Where are you at Monday through Saturday? We migrate to these places. We things. You look at all the empty house this morning. Turn your head. Look. You look at each and every spot where there is another precious soul that could fit. You take the opportunity to begin to think, why do people not desire to receive what God has for them? Because we begin to think, of all the that God has done for us. If we're thinking that, we're on the right track. But furthermore, we need to go out and tell people what God has done for us. We need to be the Andrew. We need to be the ones who go forth to bring. I understand you may not know Jesus, but come and hear about Him. Let me tell you personally, we must think Him to be precious. Go back to your kids. How many of you do the exact same things that you... No. Our lives forever changed the moment children came. Same thing happens when you receive God. Your life should forever change. Because you shouldn't go doing the exact same habits. You shouldn't be spending all your time to say. Go back up into verse 4. It says, to whom coming as a living stone disallowed, was rejected indeed of men. You can, and you'll read 21:42. It says, did you never read the scriptures? The stone which the builders rejected. We are builders. We are building up this spiritual house. We are the builders. This rejected. The same has become the head of the corner. Has become the chief corner. What holds all. Out this stone, everything else falls apart. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore I say unto you, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you and given to a nation, bringing forth fruits thereof. And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. We just looked at verses. Christ is that stone. And just as it happened in the days in which He walked, the days in which He came and preached the gospel unto the people, at the time, He didn't like what they saw, so they rejected Him. Friend, you what people sees. We are what the lost people see. God, we're not giving the proper present. We're not presenting something that is precious that you can't live without. You know, people would choose to quit coming to church drama. That's us. Presenting what people ought to be seeing. When they think of a born-again believer, when they think of an heir to the kingdom, a child of God, a truly saved individual, what is it that we want to imagine? Sometimes we want to imagine someone perfect and set up on a pedestal. church. We're not going to be perfect, but we should strive for that perfection. We should be doing these spiritual sacrifices so that people can understand that there is things that are different about us. They should be Preacher, it sounds weird to me. Well, I'm not done. We are a chosen generation. We are a royal priesthood. We're a holy. Be ye holy, for I am holy. That's what the Word of God says. That's not merely a statement, that is a command. Be ye holy, for I am holy. We are that holy nation. We are that drawn out peculiar people. So yes, might sound a little bit weird. It should be a little bit strange to everyone else. We should fit into the world. We should be transformed by God desires us to be. That you should forth the praises of Him who hath called you. Show forth praise. Understand the words that are being used. It's not merely just saying them. It didn't say speak the praise. It says show the praise. That is in every manner, in every aspect of your life, church, to be world all about Christ. The spiritual sacrifices that we make is showing the praises unto God, being able to live a life that brings Him the glory. Show forth the praises of Him who hath called you out of darkness and into His marvelous light. Let us stand together. Matthew, come get me a song, please.